Many PhD students find data extraction and conducting literature review, it is time consuming and complex process of doing things, and sometimes they hate conducting literature review, not because it is or they are lacking the skills, but because they don't have such imagination and the processing for these steps. So the more interesting to know, and probably what it makes easier for you to conduct literature review, is to have an idea how to process these steps, and to let's say to tailor somehow your way of conducting this in a small steps. Once you are succeeded in doing this, you will find all of this is just matter of time, but you consume your time effectively, not just by wasting it. So coming back to data extraction, when you conduct a systematic literature review, one of the promised step is to extract the data out of literature review. And this is actually is very important steps, and it cause or sometimes it results good outcomes. However, it can be as well disaster for those who cannot manage it well. I am here to take you in a short journey how to conduct data extraction in a meaningful and effective way. So first of all, let us agree that you need to make two things in parallel. You keep in mind that the data extraction is helping you to standardize all data you collected from a bunch of studies. So you need at some point to consider standardization in terms of taking information from studies and put it somehow in your files, whether this is Microsoft Excel or in Vivo. The most important to reach to some kind of standardization. What I mean by standardization is to agree about some words which can be replaced by many other subwords. For instance, if you read, for example, a survey study, sometimes it's written survey, sometimes it's written questionnaire, sometimes it's written trail studies. If you agree to put all of these meaning or synonym into one big categories called cross-sectional study, so here you are start to conduct standardization. This helps you to sub many studies under one name, and once you complete, for example, 50 or 60 or 100 studies, you have clear like concept and the clear names, categories, clusters in your Excel sheet, that you are able later to use these clusters and make sort of quantitative analysis based on these words. So more standardization you keep in data extraction is more comfortable later to use quantitative analysis and to use charts visualizing these results later. What could be helpful for you to implement this is Microsoft Excel. So from here I'm telling you guys, you need to develop your skills, technical skills in Microsoft Excel, how to put the build record, how to build, how to be able to build a column, how to be able to enter some classification and sort the data based on this classification. So these kind of really necessary skills you need to keep in the back of your mind when you use Microsoft Excel. So from here on, try to use Microsoft Excel to standardize the data you collected from research. So put the code for the study, and as well you use this kind of categorization as I mentioned, and save it in Microsoft Excel. So this is very important to know. So I'm going now to tell you something else. Um, as you start using Microsoft Excel, use in parallel in vivo. I would say both of these softwares are complementary to one another. That means you cannot make one only and separate the second from it. Some students said, well, I'm going to extract the data using Microsoft Excel because it's easy, bro, that doesn't need some deep technical information. And others say no, I guess in vivo is tailored made exactly to conduct these kind of tasks. I would say I provide for you today like integrative approach where you can use Microsoft Excel in terms of standardize your data, create like data sets that you are able later to use this data for making sort of a statistical analysis test based on this. Yes, it can be, probably you are surprised by listening this, but it really helps in that way. On the other hand, you need to use in vivo because it helps you to categorize, cluster, and develop your code and the themes based on the data you collected. So if we are extracting data for the systematic literature analysis purpose, so you need to use Microsoft Excel for strengthening standardization and keep the data is categorized well and standardized somehow. On the other hand, you need to use as well in vivo to help you use code-based system that you read the discussions and you read what is the key findings from the papers and keep it under themes, main themes, collect these codes or coding the text first and then collect these codes under clusters or themes or ideas, and then later you could build sort of data synthesis later combining this stuff, which could be very helpful in your data, in your result. So coming back to the point here, the second point I would like as well to discuss with you today is what to extract from paper. So what to extract when you read scientific paper, you have clear section, introduction, methodology, result and discussion. Under each section there is really key information you need to keep in mind. For instance, introduction section, you need to pick the research aim. This is very important when you extract data. You need to identify the knowledge gap exists here. Methodology, there is many sub information is really necessary to take care of. One of them is sampling technique, sample size, population. Are you collecting data from teachers, from managers, from doctors, from nurses? So you have to identify this. You need to make sure about the validity and the reliability of data collection tools. This is very helpful for evaluating the study quality by itself. You need as well to take into consideration data analysis technique, what kind of data analysis technique has been taken here. In business studies is very important as well to mention of different of variables. There is independent variables, dependent variables, mediating variables, moderating variables. If you deal with such kind of studies, so you need to take care of this. You need to identify this, put this in separate columns, and then extract this information. If we move towards the result or findings, you need to have key findings. So like section for key findings and list exactly if there any positive relationship or significant relationship between these two variables, so you report it. And then you have to identify by the end sort of limitation of the study, recommendation, or sometimes we suggest as well, if you are not going to use in vivo in this, so you have to conclude sort of theme or main idea that you can classify the study based on it. So this is mainly, and there is many other variables. It depends on what are you really looking, like for example year of publication, some kind of region where the study has been conducted. If this really bibliometric information is really essential for you, so you go for it. So this is what you extract or what data you should extract. The next is how to extract this data. Some of students take copy from paper, so I'm reading, screening the paper, take the copy from Ames, and then I paste it in Excel. Try to avoid this completely. Number one, because later you need to be ready to use this data directly in your report, final report, and if you copy it, so you are vulnerable for plagiarism and vulnerable for copyrights, and this is big headache you need to completely from the beginning take care of. So my recommendation is just read this information from paper and try to put it in your own words in Microsoft Excel, and try to be brief as possible. Don't write a lot, don't write paragraphs. You need to keep standardization, so write maximum one phrase for each section, or one word if you are able to do it. If you keep data set in that way, it will be very helpful for visualize this information in charts or table later in a terms of quantitative data outcomes. So we learn what data should extract it and how to extract it, and keep in mind always to use Microsoft Excel for strengthen quantitative outcomes of the data, and use in vivo to strengthen the coding and the themes which you elicit somehow from the literature or previous research.